Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Riru and Bonnie and Cassie sharing our innovation pick. Riru already talked about Lizzie Maggie. Bonnie told us about Beatrice Schilling. I will be introducing a rebellious lady to you. But before I do, I would like to get to know something rebellious about all y'all.
Sweet.
All y'all, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for y'all? The most inclusive greeting.
Have to. I would like to know, how do you see innovation as a form of rebellion? Let's tie it up, that bow I want.
I know, right?
Pretty
Still
package.
kind of thinking. Cassie or Bonnie, do you have something?
The first thing that pops in my mind,
please.
Bonnie does. Speaking of orifices, was gosh, I'm not even sure. I think it's real. It's one of those things you see on the internet.
Oh, okay. So did Abraham Lincoln invent it or quote?
No.
Okay, on the internet.
I want to say it was out in Africa.
Okay.
If it's not in Africa,
Yeah.
it's not a country.
Okay, right. Exactly.
If it wasn't Africa, it was somewhere in the Middle East.
Okay.
But it sounded like women were so sick of men being dickheads.
Tell me more.
They invented a thing that they could insert
Oh, I see where you're
that
coming
had
from.
barbs that would get stuck
Oh!
if they tried some shit they shouldn't,
Look
and then
at
they
that.
would have to get it surgically removed.
Ooh, like a mouse trap,
It was,
but like a
barbs.
dick trap.
Yeah.
Medieval torture
Dick
device.
Wow.
How
Interesting.
That's like super
Innovative.
intense, because my answer was going to be very Disney-like, but
Yeah.
Right?
I'll throw it out there while the
Yeah.
rest of you think.
Yeah.
So
Thank
there
you.
was a
Yeah.
problem. They came
Yeah.
up with a solution.
Right, yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
Innovative.
It's,
Problem solved.
it's
Or
legit.
not.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
My eyes are widened.
It's a new
It's like,
day.
whoa,
Mhm.
what a good idea.
I know, right? Yay, ladies.
My first
Yeah.
thought was just, if somebody says no, or that can't be done,
Yeah.
or it's impossible,
True.
I think those are the things that inspire rebels and inventors and rebel inventors to say, no, excuse me, I'm going to figure this shit out and we will find a way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I see the overlap.
Yeah,
I
I
do like that.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Just piggybacking off of that, it just reminds me more of like, well, watch me shatter this glass ceiling.
Right.
I just cannot, get out of my way. I got shit to do.
Mhm.
Watch me do
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
My favorite innovation stories come from there has to be a better way.
Okay, yeah.
Or like, why haven't we fixed this? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I think of like
It's really
the
good.
windshield wipers, where it's one of those things where it was Mary Anderson and she's in a trolley and the trolley has to keep pulling over and open the windows and get the snow off. And it's like, there has to be a better way. This isn't safe. This doesn't make sense. This is too time consuming. Can't we invent something and innovate this?
And even then, it wasn't required until like the 70s.
Until the 70s. Yeah.
Alarming.
It's terrible how sometimes innovation of can't we be better has this pushback of, yeah, but we can't make money on it.
Or just not wanting to deal with change.
Right.
Mhm.
Change is hard.
Yeah.
Innovation is usually, for lack of a better kind of, the stereotypical, to help us with challenges.
Yeah.
But sometimes those challenges are there to keep us down and to keep us paying for things we don't need to pay for. So, yes, I love innovation in that sense of pushing change. That's
Absolutely.
the rebelliousness that I see in that.
Good
interconnected.
answer. 10 points.
Sweet.
100 points.
Well, I needed extra
I don't
time.
know how many
Thank you
points
all
I'm
for
giving.
I'll take a gold star and like it.
Okay. How about
Yeah.
a raspberry lemon cider?
Done. I like it.
Yay.
Thank you. Cheers. Who do you
You're
have
welcome.
for us? Yes.
Well, first, I have to take you to October 4th, 1957.
Let's do it.
I
Yes.
wasn't born yet.
Taking you back in time.
Back into my
time.
TARDIS.
In the TARDIS.
Into my
Yes.
traveling
Yep.
device.
Back in
Yes.
time.
I like it. Uh-huh.
And if you had been there that date,
Yeah.
you could have seen Sputnik launched into orbit.
Oh, nice.
Sputnik. I would have loved to see Sputnik.
Right.
Yeah. Freaked a lot of people out.
Do you realize, though, you wouldn't have been standing on the United States soil?
Uh-huh. This is
No.
true. Yeah.
You wouldn't, would you?
This is
No.
the
You'd be in the
Soviets.
Soviet
Yep.
Union.
That's right.
Yes.
Back in the USSR, as the Beatles said.
So everybody not witnessing that because they're here in the United States
Mhm.
was very, very embarrassed.
Right.
Maybe not every person, because I feel like some people probably didn't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
There were some scientists that are like, it should have been us first.
Yeah,
but
they
it
were crapping
wasn't.
their pants. They
The
found it
space race.
extremely
Mhm.
embarrassing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
True.
So
Yeah.
the problem with the United States was that they hadn't invented a fuel that was capable of launching
Yes.
their rocket into orbit.
rocket fuel.
Rocket
Dun,
fuel.
dun, dun.
To craft such a fuel,
Yes.
the nation needed someone who is both a brilliant chemist,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
a mathematician,
Yeah.
with deep experience in analyzing the properties of combustion.
Right. Yes.
And they knew just the woman for the job.
Did they?
Nice.
They
Yeah.
did.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm going to be telling you about Mary Sherman Morgan.
Yay!
Born November 4th, 1921
Sweet.
in Ray, North Dakota.
Nice.
She was born to a large family
Mhm.
in a very tiny rural town.
Gotcha.
She was the second youngest of 6 siblings. She did not have a great home life. Parents were very neglectful, and the other siblings were bullies.
Oh.
It seems like maybe her parents were just supplying the farm with some labor by having children, because she was expected to work the farm with her siblings, and
right.
she was not sent to school.
Oh, she goes to
Oh.
school.
Yeah, so actually, we might have to thank social services
No.
for the fact that this woman eventually created a new kind of rocket fuel.
Ah, look at that.
Because social services stepped in and they threatened to arrest Mary's father unless she started going to school.
Nice.
Thank
Right?
you, social services.
Right.
But they
Thank
went a
you.
step further.
Yeah.
They supplied Mary with a horse
Oh.
so she could get to school
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
riding lessons
Gotcha.
of how to
Oh.
ride the horse.
Basically, they
escape from
took her
home.
to driver's ed.
Right?
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh my gosh.
And this was when she was 9 years old.
Oh.
So she did not start any kind
Whoa.
of formal education until she was 9.
Oh my god.
Yes.
That's in that past that age of reason of what am I and how am I part of this universe? Oh my
Right.
god. Wow.
Incredibly enough, when she graduated in 1939, she graduated as her high school's valedictorian.
of course she
Yes.
did.
Because she got into school, loved it, was motivated by it.
Saw
was
the value of
smart
it,
as
right?
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, had the natural abilities for it.
Sweet.
And so she graduated top of her class
Nice.
and was able to get a scholarship to DeSales College in Toledo, Ohio,
Okay. Gotcha.
to be a chemistry major.
Oh, Kim.
She literally had to run away from home to attend college.
My goodness.
But
With her
probably better
horse, I
off. It's
hope.
a better idea. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
she rode that horse
I hope
straight
she
to
did.
Toledo.
All the way
Straight
to
to Toledo.
Straight to Toledo.
Toledo. I like it. Mm-hmm.
All right. Unfortunately, due to World War II,
Oh,
I feel like that sentence could apply to a lot of the people in
Mhm.
history
Exactly.
we have talked about. It
Mhm.
definitely changed things for people.
Yeah, true.
But World War II started when she was a sophomore at college.
Okay.
And because of that, all the men going overseas,
Yes.
they had a lack of chemists and other scientists.
Yeah,
Because,
that
you know,
makes sense.
we were
Mhm.
letting the men be the chemists and scientists, and, you know, women just did women things.
But chemists and scientists were important during a wartime.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, the military had to start really slumming it and looking for women who could
Right.
do these things,
Especially
right?
like valedictorians and really smart
yeah,
ones.
and ones
Mhm.
that have a reputation for being brilliant at chemistry
Mhm.
at their college. So she was actually scouted by a recruiter
Oh, nice.
for this job.
Yeah.
And I think for her it was two things. One, you know, there was a big push for everybody to do their part in the war effort.
Yes, yes.
That was huge.
Serve your country in some way.
Yes.
Mhm.
And two, she was pretty low on funds.
Ah.
So she accepted the job to work at a factory in Sandusky, Ohio,
Oh,
is what this
okay.
recruiter asked.
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell her what product the factory made
Okay.
or what her job would be.
Is this Laverne and Shirley?
I'm giving, what is it? Not John Candy.
Is it John Candy?
No.
I thought it was Laverne and Shirley with Sandusky, Ohio in a bottle factory.
That whole... Shoot, not John Candy.
train, planes, and automobiles? John Candy?
No, it's not. Is it Chris Farley?
Oh, okay. Tommy Boy
in Sandusky, Ohio.
Yes, Tommy Boy.
Out of the brake pads.
Exactly.
Well,
Sorry,
apparently,
we have sidetracked. Yes.
to do this job
Yes.
Sandusky, Ohio,
Yes,
brake pads.
she had to have a top secret security clearance.
Oh, but she's a woman, though.
Well, they actually can manage to do that for women if motivated.
If motivated, correct. Okay,
Yes.
yes. Amazing.
But I just imagine being her.
Yeah.
And being like, we have a job for you. We can't tell you what it is or where it will be at exactly,
Right.
what product what factory you're going to end up in.
I think any woman would
But
be
we
like,
want to
and
make
so
sure
I'm going to be dead.
you have top secret security
She's
clearance.
like, me and my orifice, we're in.
So we're dead then.
Yeah.
Okay, means you ate the secret layer?
Sure.
Exactly.
Seems safe.
Skull Cavern.
Sure.
Well, the job turned out to be at Plum Brook Ordnance Works Munitions Factory,
Okay, gotcha.
which had the responsibility of manufacturing explosives like TNT, DNT, and Pinolite.
Yeah, all those things.
Pintolite.
I know what TNT is.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I've
And
seen Looney
Pintolite.
Tunes.
Right?
It's all
Yeah.
the time.
Stuff that go boom boom?
It's low-fat pimento cheese.
Oh, okay, got it. And it go boom boom?
Your stomach might.
Right.
My butt would.
Right.
That's
They put
lactose
Taco
for
Bell.
you.
Just,
Just
yeah,
saying.
it go boom boom.
Share that publicly with the world. So during World War II,
Yeah.
this factory produced 1 billion pounds of ordnance.
Oh, goodness.
And she became an integral part of that.
Gotcha.
She analyzed the purity of volatile and toxic compounds throughout her entire time that she worked there,
Oh.
which was very dangerous work.
Yeah.
But because she was so knowledgeable in chemistry and so thorough and careful with her work, she had no problems.
Yeah.
And she didn't explode.
Look at that.
Didn't even explode, not even once.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So at the end of World War II, she ended up leaving that job and moving in with her first cousin, also in Ohio.
Gotcha.
And about that time, she also found out that she was pregnant.
Oh.
And this was 1943.
Ooh.
And as a single woman
Yep.
in the 40s, not a good look.
Right.
Sadly.
Yeah.
I mean,
not a lot of options.
I'm
either.
not saying it's not a good look because, you
Sure.
know, I just know life happens and
Yeah.
Right.
we do what we do.
Right.
However, she basically had to go almost a little bit into hiding
Oh.
to carry out this pregnancy.
Gotcha.
Not hiding, but you know what I
Is
mean?
it-
She was at her
Go live
sister's
with your
house.
aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. A long illness.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Oh, sorry. I don't know who I said relative, but it's first cousin, Mary
Okay.
Hibbard. But this cousin was married and unable to have children.
Gotcha.
So after she gave
Ooh.
birth, her cousin adopted the baby
Gotcha.
with her
Nice.
husband.
There you go.
After that, Mary decided to move to California.
California,
Yeah,
yay.
I would be there too. I'd be like, fuck this. I'm
Mhm.
getting the shit out of
I'm
Ohio.
gonna
My favorite
reinvent my
place.
life.
I know. I thought that when I was researching that. I'm like, Cassie loves California.
Oh, shucks.
Do you know Canoga Park, California?
Oh, yeah. Canoga Park. I know Canoga Park.
You know
Sorry.
Canoga Park?
Southern California.
So that's where she ended up
Okay, sweet.
because she was able to get a job at North American Aviation.
Oh, nice. Okay.
She was hired as, I forget the word they used.
The
But she
bomb
wasn't
girl.
hired as she wasn't hired as an engineer because she never finished her schooling. Oh,
No.
I think it was
Oh.
like consultant,
Okay.
which also meant they could pay her less.
Because she's done the job, but she doesn't have a piece of paper that
Right.
says she can do the
Right.
job.
She has all this
Sure.
extensive experience
Right.
and knowledge, but she doesn't have her degree.
Fair.
So
Not
she
fair.
was the only woman out of 900 engineers.
Ah.
Right.
Yeah.
What? Jeez.
That'd be a great work environment.
Shortly after being hired, she was promoted to the role of theoretical performance specialist.
Ooh.
I'm sure they
Nice.
still weren't paying her as much as a fucking
Yeah.
Well,
engineer.
because it's theoretical.
separate.
But, right.
We're
Um,
theoretically going to be paying you.
Theoretically, you can have
Theoretical
some for this job. But I kind of imagine it might have been an unpleasant work environment for
Yeah.
her. Maybe that's an understatement. Because she faced a lot of prejudice being, one, a woman,
Yeah.
and two, not having a college degree.
Yeah. Yeah. You're with a lot of smarties that
Right.
really like that piece of
That
paper.
would judge.
Yeah.
And snobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
However, apparently not everybody was a dick to her because she found her husband while working there.
Oh, she found one guy.
George Richard Morgan. George Richard Red
Oh,
Morgan.
Red.
I like a guy in the 50s with a snazzy nickname.
That's because you like Shawshank Redemption and Morgan Freeman's character's
That's
name
right.
was Red.
Yeah.
Oh,
So she and Red settled down together.
Sweet.
He was a mechanical engineer who graduated from Caltech.
Oh,
So I made a
very
note here that
nice.
said, "How smart was this family?"
Right.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Smart
Yeah.
as
Two
shit.
geniuses.
Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they had 4 children together.
Oh,
Aw.
genius babies. Look at that.
Right?
Mhm.
Sweet.
I didn't go down the rabbit hole of finding out what all of her children
Yeah,
did.
that's fair.
One of them kind of comes up in her story, but I assume they are smarties as well.
Sweet.
So, her big claim to fame that she never claimed or
Right.
accepted,
Mhm.
in fact, she kind of rejected it.
Yeah.
She was, after her invention, Life magazine came to the building and wanted to interview her, and she had security throw them out.
Whoa.
She did not want the notoriety and
Yeah.
fame that came with her invention.
Yeah. It
Because-
could make her a target.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
her invention was critical to the space race.
Mhm.
It was the reason we first got a rocket into orbit.
Mhm.
Because what they were working on was taking Redstone missiles, calling them Jupiter missiles.
Mhm.
Yes. So they're trying to retrofit this military missile so it can fly up into orbit.
Right.
And to do that, they have to have fuel that will, the rocket has to be able to go into orbital velocities.
Right.
Mm.
So they weren't able to do this team that had been working on it. So they contracted North American Aviation to come up with a more powerful fuel.
Fuel is the problem.
That is true. And everybody that was presented with this problem called it an impossible problem.
Mhm.
Her colleagues deemed it was being set up to fail.
Oh.
So I've read stuff that said it was presented to her because she was the very best person for the job.
Sure, but
But the really skeptical part inside me says, did they give it to her?
Mhm.
Because all those 900 men were scared of failing and
Right.
it being egg on their face. So they're like,
Yeah.
let's give it to this woman.
yeah,
We'll-
I mean,
We'll give her this impossible
Yeah.
project.
and it could be both. Like,
Yeah.
she's really smart,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if she fails at this, you know, it's going to
It's
be a
that
woman who fails at this.
Thing they do nowadays where there's a whole board and they don't want to have any women CEOs, and then they elect a woman CEO
to show
and
how
then
bad.
when they know the company's about to tank.
Yep.
Mm.
Mhm.
I'm
Scapegoat.
too
Sounds like
negative, but the thought did enter my mind when
But-
I was reading it.
Right. I would totally agree that could have been a possibility to at least one person in this environment.
Yeah. And the other part was that this company was notorious for very periodically firing 5% of its staff
Ah.
very publicly in front of the other staff to motivate them. Like that was
Jeez.
their management style.
Great. So
Jeez.
they were a
Yeah.
joy to work
North
for.
American Aviation.
That's
Jeez.
cool.
Super
So-
healthy.
She was
Jeez.
asked to develop a more powerful propellant for the engine, but to not change the engine design.
Oh,
And I am not
Hmm.
a chemist, an engineer,
sure.
barely mechanical. I don't even know how a car works, really. I'll just get real with you.
Well, you would think those two things. Yeah. Mhm.
It was interesting reading this because it made me realize how much the engine design and the fuel design do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And apparently that's how it's normally done. So that's why this request was so outrageous.
Yes, exactly.
I did
That's weird.
note that the fuel that was being used in the Redstone missiles was also having to be a coolant
oh.
for the engine. So she had to come up with a fuel that was going to work in this particular engine,
Sure.
act as a coolant, but be powerful enough to propel the
To
rocket
be
up
ignitable.
into-
Jeez.
That has to be a
Orbit.
whole bunch of things. Okay.
But guess what?
Cool. It worked.
She did it. She did it. She tried every type of fuel that was already around. Didn't work. So she finally had to come up with basically her own fuel blend.
Yeah.
And there's a whole shit ton of words I do not know that have 20 letters in them that I'm
Gotcha.
not going to tell
Some
you.
kind of recipe of
there's
chemistry.
a recipe here.
Yeah.
I don't know how to follow it.
Glycol.
However,
Mhm.
she made this fuel, and it was called Hydyne.
Okay.
It was named that by the military because Mary proposed that Hydyne be called bagel,
Okay.
since the rocket's propellant combination would then be called bagel and lox.
Oh, Babel and Locks.
However, this name was rejected by
Yeah,
the U.S.
for reasons.
Army.
Boring.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Men.
So then on January 31st, 1958,
Yeah.
this fuel was used in the Jupiter rockets, and they were sent up into orbit.
Yay.
It was launched in 6 Juno 1 rockets as well.
Okay.
Those were the only times it was used. It was to give us that, like, we
Yeah.
can do it too, instant gratification.
Right.
Because at that point, they had bought themselves time to redesign an engine and a fuel and kind of learn about rocket fuel and all of that. But this was the quick Band-Aid solution they needed to
Gotcha.
save face when the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik.
That makes sense.
Because they also, following Sputnik, we launched the Vanguard rocket,
Yeah.
which blew up.
It real
So
did.
it was real embarrassing.
It looked great
So-
spectacularly
Space race.
as it blew up.
Right. So I don't know how many years after this invention, but it was after the birth of her second child, she did decide to retire and leave the work.
Gotcha.
None of her kids were really aware that she had this experience or did this with her life.
Yeah.
Their memories of her were that she was a homebody, that she was always at the dining room table, often mumbling to herself irritably, with a coffee, a cigarette, a deck of cards for solitary, and an outdoor lifestyle magazine. It was also reported that sometimes she would set up solitary at the table at all 4 spots and then go around the table playing 4 games of solitary
Oh my
all
god.
the time.
like, wow.
Yeah, so I hope she found value in her life as a mother.
Yeah.
But some of those things to me sound like maybe a very brilliant mind got very bored
Yeah.
once they were home.
Yeah.
However,
This is true.
her husband,
Yeah.
her son
Yeah.
did find out from the husband, when he was around 14 about his mom and her work on the rockets and with the space program.
Yay.
And then after, because she never spoke of it to anyone.
Right. Well,
But-
she had top secret. Was any
Yes,
part of
that was a part.
Okay.
That was
Okay,
a part of it.
Yeah.
She probably could have accepted some accolades, like with that interview,
Yeah.
but she very much rejected them.
Yeah.
But her son was really motivated to kind of restore her place in history and
Yeah.
show what she had done. So he wrote a semi-biographical stage play called Rocket Girl,
Oh.
Nice.
Oh.
and it was produced at the California Institute of Technology and
Aw.
performed there. And after the play, he decided to write a book that was released in 2013, also titled Rocket Girl, The Story of Mary Sherman Morgan, America's first female rocket scientist.
Sweet.
So those things are out there.
Yeah.
He's just so proud of
Have
his
any-
mom.
Yeah, if you have
as
any
you
interest
should
in
be.
them.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
remember if we
beautiful.
have that book or if it's on our wish list, but I know that I've come across it going, this would be a great
This looks
add to the library. Yeah.
fun, Right?
Exactly.
That's
I
a
have a feeling
wonderful
she's
story.
probably led a
Yeah.
fascinating life
Yeah.
for sure.
Is there a picture of her on there? Because she's the one.
She's very distinctive, isn't she?
She-
Super cute.
She looks like my brother's wife, Crystal.
Oh, you are right.
She
you
looks
are right.
just like Crystal.
I don't have a picture on
Okay.
here.
I will
but
throw
yeah,
up a
she's
picture
a
on but
cutie.
yeah. And
A
I,
picture
as
of
soon as
She
I
has the horn rimmed
Crystal and,
glasses
yeah.
and like a little fashion mole. Well, not
Aw.
fashion because I think it is part of her face.
Right, exactly.
Fashion
Yeah.
implies you do it just for fashion. Anyway,
Exactly.
super cool lady.
Yes, inventor of
Remember.
rocket fuel.
Rocket fuel.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think if that's the same time and the same place where she might have been working with Jack Black's mom.
It's possible.
I'm trying to
Oh.
remember if they lived.
I thought there was a
or not.
California connection, but I mean, there's also Florida and Texas when it comes to like, NASA and space stuff.
I think
but-
Jack Black's mom was
That
definitely
would be-
California because I talked about her on the podcast.
You did,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like maybe she was a different company, like a weapons
Mhm.
company, and this
Could've
was
been.
more like.
Whoa.
it wasn't
I
like
mean, it kinda
Boeing,
like-
was it? No? Okay.
I'll have to look it up again.
I will also link that Jack Black's mom's episode
Okay.
to this one too,
Mhm.
because
Our
they
sciencey ladies.
they're just both badasses in
Right.
the sense
Uh-huh.
of like, creating rocket science
Mhm.
and not getting
Yeah.
credit for it, you
Yeah.
know. Amazing.
Absolutely.
But
Any
yeah.
other questions for me, guys?
Not that I can
I
think of.
no, thank you
Yeah.
for a wonderful share.
Then
I love her.
I am going to go ahead and end
Yes! Wrap us
the
up
podcast for
for
the
the
month.
month of May.
And I think my final close is no longer accurate because I do believe my episode will drop on Memorial Day. Yes.
Oh yes, exactly. Sorry,
That's
there.
okay, that's
Yes,
We had,
Yeah.
a little schedule change,
Right.
a few little schedule changes,
Yeah.
but we are here for you guys.
exactly.
So I will just say that wraps up Innovation Month. We will see you the first week of June as we learn about women who embody injustice. Thanks for
Ooh.
listening.
Want to learn about more women of history? Gals Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.